Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, it is a pleasure for you to join us in this session, okay, where we will be discussing a book a week. Good vibes. So we discuss a book a week and 10-minute summary of the book that we read. And this week we are going through the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey. A very, very amazing and awesome book. Do find on the comment section below, I'm actually sharing the link where you can get your very own copy of the book 7 Habits by Highly Effective People. You can get this on Amazon. Beautiful, amazing read. Alright, so in this session, we're looking at the third habit, which is put first things first. Okay, put first things first. So prioritize, prioritize, prioritize. Okay, and we start off with a quote by Goethe that says, "Things which matter most should never be at the mercy of things which matter least." So it is super important that we identify the things which matter most to us and we ensure that they receive the most of our time, okay, the most of our energy, okay, the most of our attention, so that they're not at the mercy of the things which don't matter most in our lives. So that's what this section is all about. It's giving us a bit of a reflection. Let's look at how our schedules are running. Yeah, let's see how we can improve on them and make sure that we apply the most of our time on the things which matter most in our lives. And honestly, we all know this, right? We all know that this should be the case. We all know that we should be putting enough time on the things that matter most to us. But somehow, you know, somewhat, we are just not doing it sometimes. Okay? So, which is why it's not just good enough that we know the what, you know, we should also know the how. And that's what in this session, Dr. Covey also recommends. We'll be looking at his recommendation and actually tried it. It definitely works. Yeah, so highly encourage that we all try this strategy. So in this chapter, yes, Dr. Covey shares the how to ensure we always are more in line with our priorities. We schedule the most time for our priorities. So leadership is what first things are. So you first need to identify what are first things in your life, okay? And now this habit, put first things first, is a management concept. So it is a concept that requires now consistency, okay, discipline, okay, and effective strategies. This is where we're going to be using our left brain to ensuring that we get the first things placed where they need to be. Okay, always at the forefront of whatever it is that we are doing. So we start by a self-introspection to determine what one thing we can do. Okay, by the way, which we currently are not doing, okay, which when we did would make a huge and tremendous difference in our lives. So I actually asked myself this question, and we encouraged to ask and analyze all our roles. So analyze all your life roles. You are a parent, you are an employee, an employer, you know, a spouse, a child, a student, okay, whatever you are, whatever your roles are. Look at all of them and ask yourself this question. What is the one thing that you need to be doing? You know you need to be doing this. You know you need to be studying, for example, right? For if you're a student, okay? And you know if you did this consistently and you did this and you currently are not doing it on time and you're not doing it well, it will make a huge difference in your life. I asked myself this question, and to me, I actually realized that, you know, I'm very good at starting things, and then somewhere, somehow, along the way, maybe I lose interest, but the correct term is that I would not be consistent in doing what I set myself to doing. Okay, so if I were to be consistent, I know for a fact it will make a tremendous difference in my life. Yeah. So what is your thing? Share what your one thing is. Matter of fact, it's good that you share this so that you're able to one day reflect and, you know, measure and say, I once had this, but I no longer have it, because this is not something you want to keep. I do not want to remain an inconsistent person. No. Okay, I'm saying it out there because it has to be checked out. Let's say it out and let's work on removing it from our vocabulary, right? From our total sphere of existence. So what is the one thing? Write it in the comment section below. Let's hear of it, okay? And let us move on. Let's encourage each other to also be proactive people. Okay, so we learn in this section to manage ourselves first. It is one thing to speak of effective management and discipline if you yourself are not well managed. So it's very important that we manage ourselves first. When we become effective managers of ourselves, our discipline will come from within, okay, from our core values. And when it comes from our core values, our principles, we know that we're already on the right path. So let's manage ourselves first. So our personal mission statement should reflect in all our actions. Remember, we must have a personal mission statement, what we are all about. We discussed this in other videos, okay? You can check out the second habit. This is where this is actually discussed. But in this section, we actually be encouraged that now you know what your personal mission statement is. Live by it. Ensure that all your actions are always in alignment with your personal mission statement. They're not in contradiction in any way. So we organize, we need to be consistently doing what we set our mind to doing, even if we don't feel like it, okay? There need to be a burning desire inside of you for you to achieve something, okay? There need to be that one thing that you're waking up every morning that you know if you get this done right, it is a priority of yours. It will make a huge difference in your life, and it is in line with your life goals. So there should be a lot of that going on so that you don't even have time to say yes to other things which don't matter in your life. It should be burning inside of you. And even if you don't feel like doing it on a particular day, you should be doing it. It should not be based on how you feel, but it should be based on what your logic is telling you. You know it is the right thing to do. You're managing yourself first. So we organize and execute according to our personal goals, according to our priorities, yeah? They should be central in even our scheduling. We should have a schedule, by the way. It's another game ball if you don't have a schedule altogether, if you're going with the flow. Have that schedule. And when it comes to time management, we have to ask ourselves two questions. Number one, is this urgent? Number two, is this important? Okay. Now, urgent could be a relative term. You can decide, okay, maybe it's urgent, maybe it's not urgent. But when it comes to important, the only factor that is crucial for you to decide whether something is important or not is whether or not it's in line with your core values, whether or not it's in line with your personal mission statement, whether or not it's in line with your principles. And if it is not, then it is not important. It should not be based on anything else other than the fact that it is in line with your core values each and every time. So this theory, in fact, there's a theory that places all of these, it helps in form of 4 quadrants. The 4 quadrants, namely the first being the urgent and important, the crises, the second being the important but not urgent, the third being the urgent but not important, and the last being not important, not urgent. Okay, so we always want to spend most of our time in the important but not urgent. In other words, you want to deal with the important things in your life, the things which are in line with your core values, before they become tight deadlines, before it is last minute. You want to do them within the second quadrant, and that's what proactive people do. Okay. And yes, sometimes you may have a case of an emergency, which would be now you being on the first quadrant. But for the most part, let us spend our time, let's schedule our time so we always are in the second quadrant when it comes to time management. So proactive people spend their time mostly on the second quadrant, okay? As this is the quadrant where you can prevent things and you can plan ahead, right? You can be more in control of your schedule. And we also learn in this section of the Pareto principle, which explains that 20% of the actions that we conduct, of what we do, yields the 80% of the result. So that 20%, you planning effectively and putting that time in, preparing the day before and so on, it will yield, a huge part of the 80% of the result. So yes, let's be crucial. Let's be sensitive of how we spend that 20% of our time planning for our days. Okay, and also remember that the enemy of the best is the good. Why have good when you can have best? Okay, always strive to have the best. Okay, so how do we effectively plan? To lead our lives now in following this strategy? The best way is, number one, look at your life. Look at all the roles that you attain and write each and every one of them down. You're a mother, you're a father, you're a sister, you're a brother, you are a community leader, you are a worker. All of your roles, okay, list them down. And after doing that, look at what you'd like to achieve for each and every role within the week. Plan for the week, okay? So now for this role, I want to achieve this and this in this week. Write all those items close to each and every one of those roles. And once you've established what you'd like to achieve within the week for every one of those roles, then you go and you write out your schedule for the week. So you know that, okay, maybe it will be best that I spend my I do my reading project on the Tuesday, because that's when I could, put more time where I can apply my mind most on this. Or I think I can do the church activity or the fundraising activity better on the Monday, because that's when I'm going to be meeting this person as well. So if you plan for the week, you have better alternatives and you're able to see your week properly and you're able to plan things out effectively. Okay, once again, you have time. It's not under a deadline, so it is you being in the second quadrant as well. So let us do that and you'll see the results. There definitely are results to doing that. Remember, Rome wasn't built in one day. Okay, it took some time, but effective steps to ensuring that it was well built. Okay, so remember also to think efficiency when you are dealing with things. Okay, if you want to go buy groceries, you can go online, for example. That's quicker. You can just quickly go and get items and go. Okay, but whenever you're dealing with people, you've got to think effectiveness, because now you must find the best way to deal with the person and maintain a long-lasting relationship with this person. So it could take longer. You may need to schedule follow-ups which you did not know beforehand. You may need to reschedule appointments when you are dealing with people. It is a different ball game altogether. Okay, so lastly, sometimes when dealing with people, you may need to delegate. Okay, so that's another thing we learn in the skill of being able to just delegate some tasks to other people. Sometimes we want to empower other people to help us with things. Okay, so we need to be more patient. We need to be willing to show them how things done and trust them enough that they can use their own initiative and they will yield the results that we want. Okay, so that is what we're learning in this section. A lot of information which, when we apply in our lives, makes a huge difference. Thank you for joining. Do share your contributions, your experience with this habit. How has it helped you? Okay, any questions you may have in the comment section below. Okay, thank you so much. We'll meet again on the next video. All right.